1992, Rain and Duckworth Lewis ensured that they got knocked out. 1996, a brilliant century by Brian Lara in the World Cup quarter final. 99, that infamous run out between Klusner and Donald, where they almost had the World Cup in their hand, right? 2003, again at home, they got knocked out because of Duckworth Lewis and Rain again.
Squad is very well balanced, and that ODI series against Australia was came at the perfect time, wherein they got that practice against a top opposition, and they rotated their players around, and people really sh- showed up their potential in that series. And coming back from 2-0 down to beat Australia 3-2 is a big achievement anywhere, even though it's not Australia's primary team, but still I think it
Correct.
was a
And
wonderful
winning each of those
series.
three matches by excess of
Very
100
convincing.
runs, right? Excess of 100 runs, all three matches.
What I could see in this Australia series was how the roles were interchanged. Traditionally,
Hmm.
you would think that Quinton de Kock would attack and Babuma would blunt the new ball, but it changed. I
Yeah.
mean, Babuma went hell after leather, and Quinton de Kock was playing. So that's good. I mean, they can change roles, which is very rare. Most of the partnerships opening are very defined that way. That one person will attack, one person will defend.
This time, I think for the first time they're struggling with all rounders, right? I mean, forget the era of Callis,
Clint,
Pollock,
Clint.
Klusner. I mean, that was a different era. They were legends. But even in the last World Cup, they had Chris Morris, they had Feflukwayo, and they had Pretorius as well. So there was still some class. So it Hello all and welcome to a new video on the Third Man Musings. So as you are aware, we have started our World Cup preview series for all the squads that we are covering. If you have not watched those videos so far, we have previewed two teams already, England and New Zealand. So please do watch them and share your thoughts with us. Today we'll be previewing our third team, which is South Africa. Now, South Africa has always been such an enigma at the World Cup, right? Even though they have always brought in great players, great teams, but the memory that you take from each tournament always get reminded of a painful moment, right? 1992, Rain and Duckworth Lewis ensured that they got knocked out. 1996, a brilliant century by Brian Lara in the World Cup quarter final. 99, that infamous run out between Klusner and Donald, where they almost had the World Cup in their hand, right? 2003, again at home, they got knocked out because of Duckworth Lewis and Rain again, which was again reminiscent of the 1992 World Cup. And in 2015, when all the stars seemed to align for them to make it to the final of the World Cup, they got knocked out by a brilliant knock from Grant Elliott. So South Africa has had a history of misfortune and fumbling at those crucial moments. Will it be any different this time, Sumit, for them?
Well, for a South African fan, if they heard that introduction, I think they might have left the video by now. So yeah, I'll just keep a positive spin on this. That this time they are not one of the favorites for sure, and if they come into the top four, I think it will be a big bonus for them. People not expecting them in the most people's list of top four. They're not making it. They're like the number fourth team if they are making it, not even the top three for sure, right? So that they're flying under the radar this time, and that lack of expectation I think might work for them for once, because normally they are the favorites and people are always talking about South Africa, Australia in the same breath. But now things have changed in the last 4 or 5 years since England has come to the fore. So the power center has changed in terms of ODI cricket at least. So I am expecting them to take advantage of them this time around. And when we go over the squad this in this preview video, we will see how the squad is very well balanced, and that ODI series against Australia was came at the perfect time, wherein they got that practice against a top opposition and they rotated their players around, and people really sh- showed up their potential in that series. And coming back from 2-0 down to beat Australia 3-2 is a big achievement anywhere, even though it's not Australia's primary team, but still I think it
Correct.
was a
And
wonderful
winning each of those
series.
three matches by excess of
Very
100
convincing.
runs, right? Excess of 100 runs, all three matches.
So that way's preparation is perfect, as perfect as they could have had, and everybody seems to be in good touch. And the balance is what we'll talk about. There are certain issues with the balance also, but there's a lot of quality in that squad which people don't know, because I think our views of these teams are more biased by IPL. But there are a lot of good international players in this team who will go over. So we'll start with the batting, and I think it starts from the top with Temba Bavuma, the captain, and he was a test player. When he came into the scene, and a very good test player at that, and then he got drafted into the T20 World Cup. Once De Kock had abruptly said he will not play, right? And after that he got into the ODI scheme of things. And as a captain, he's a very shrewd captain. He's a one of the underrated captains, and very good batsman as well, because he's primarily a test batsman. So technically he's good. And looking at his numbers, he's averages 50 plus, and the strike rate is also easily 90 plus. So that's something that's very good stats for any ODI player, right? And he's your captain. So I think it starts from the top, and then they have a very good captain who will give you the runs, and also a very good head on the field who will marshal his resources well. And that was very
Correct.
apparent against the Australia series.
Yeah, the first his 100 in the first ODI was very good, right? Tricky pitch. The rest of the stars failed, but I think his 100 in that match was excellent. Yeah.
That will instill that confidence amongst the players, because there is that thing that people are not really warming up to him. The team doesn't play very together when he is the captain, but I think they need to trust him because he looks the part and different from the other South African captains, right? I think the pressure might be better handled by him. So that's the opener, and we jump to the middle order. So how do you see the middle order? I think it's one of the strongest middle orders in the World Cup.
Yeah, very intimidating middle order, right? Because obviously you will have Bauma and Decock at the top, and then you will have Rassi van der Dusen at three, who is somehow very underrated. But I think both of us are fans of this guy, right? Very consistent and very dangerous on his day. Then we obviously have Markram, who's at four. Then we have either Miller or Klassen at five and six, right, depending
Hmm.
on the situation. So all four have the capacity to go big right from ball one, and they're very consistent as well. Now there are some teams which on paper look strong, but on the field they don't deliver. But these four consistently deliver on a very regular basis, and especially I think Miller and Klassen, who can forget that amazing partnership in the fourth ODI, right? 220 runs in 83 balls. They just tore Australia's bowling attack apart, and Klassen's innings is one of the all-time great innings, 174 of 83, and Miller scored 82 not out of 45. And I think what they'll also be happy about is, Markram got a good workout in that series as well, 100 score, 100 plus score,
Hmm.
and 190 as well. So I think that middle order is up and running, so that engine room is now set for them.
Yeah. So that's the batting, and there's one backup they've kept in terms of Reza Hendricks. So primarily a T20 player, but he's a handy opener. And I think if one of these guys get injured, then he comes slots in somewhere. So they kept only one backup as a batsman because they are like fairly sure of their batting lineup. So that's good. I mean, there's no pressure because sometimes if you have too many backups on the bench, there's pressure on the primary players if they stop performing, and then
Yeah.
the media, everything gets on top of you. That why is this guy not playing? They don't have anybody only, so they have to play
Yeah.
what they have, which is I
Hendricks
think
may not get a game. Both of us,
may
I
not.
think,
Correct,
are
correct.
sure of
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So yeah. Then jumping to the keepers, two keepers. So Quinton de Kock will be your primary keeper, and Klaassen is obviously a backup keeper, but he's going to be a middle order bat like we discovered. So Quinton de Kock, one of those legends in South African cricket, and his numbers are good. I mean, we have to grant him that. I just think in the past few years it's not been that great because maybe it's the T20 league advent where he wants to play T20 only, make money and all that. But his record is very good for an opener with 6,000 runs, 45 average, 90 strike rate, and a keeper and an opener. So that's better than Adam Gilchrist,
Yeah.
Adam, which is shocking to say. Gilchrist had an average of only 34, 35, I think, but
Yeah.
his strike rate was
But
crazy.
impact, yeah.
Impact, yeah, yeah. We all remember those innings, right? With the final and all. He just used to perform in World Cup finals, so
Correct.
that's why he's a legend. So, and Quinton de Kock is the last ODI workout for him. He's retiring after this because yeah, enough is enough for him. Finally, so I, so yeah, he is going to be the strength for them, and his so much IPL experience, he is going to be the trump card, I suppose, right?
Right. Yeah, he
So
will. Yeah, he will bring in that solidity along with Bauma at the top. Most of the games, I easily see them playing and trying to blunt the new ball with some good shots as well, right? So I think they'll adopt a safety first approach for the first few overs, and then they'll lay the platform for the explosive top
mm.
3 to 6. Yeah.
And what I could see in this Australia series was how the roles were interchanged. Traditionally,
Hmm.
you would think that Quinton de Kock would attack and Babuma would blunt the new ball, but it changed. I
Yeah.
mean, Babuma went a hell after leather, and Quinton de Kock was playing. So that's good. I mean, they can change roles, which is very rare. Most of the partnerships opening are very defined that way. That one person will attack, one person will defend. So good to see that flexibility between the two of them. And the backup keeper, which is I think a primary batter, Henrik Klassen. So he came along a bit late in the scene, from what I remember. I don't think he's like a he came from the youth system. I think he came very late,
Yeah, he came
and
late. And in between, he had some inconsistency, so he got dropped. But again, he made runs and in their domestic circuit and came back. And now he's found his purple patch, I guess. Yeah.
yes, and I think in the IPL also he scored in some
Sunrisers, no? For Sunrisers,
one
yeah,
crazy
yeah,
innings he played,
yeah,
which showed,
yeah.
and his ability to play spin is something which is pretty amazing. The way he can
Mhm.
just rock back on the back foot and just hoik it for a six and play on the front. So he's a very good player of spin. Very rare thing for a South African. So one of the finds, you can say, in a way, very late in the day for South African cricket. I hope he'll have a good World Cup because he has the skill set. So that's the keepers and the batters. Coming to the all-rounders, and that's where I think this team has a bit of a problem this year compared to their yesteryear magic. So primary all-rounder is Marco Jansen, and he should be the only all-rounder I feel in terms of his bowling, because he is the left armer with the height and everything. So do you see any other all-rounder slotting in for him?
Now, interestingly, with Norkia and Magala's injuries, that brings Feflukwayo back into the mix, right? Because he played the 2019 World Cup, but this time he wasn't in the main scheme of things. But I think these forced injuries have brought him back again.
Mm,
A utility player, I think, and what helped was he got a decent knock in the last ODI, right, against Australia. So he's coming in with some sort of good batting practice, and you never know, right? On pitches like maybe Chennai or Lucknow, his off-cutters might, suit the, surface. Although we don't see him making it to the primary level, but you never know. In certain games
mm,
where the pitches might aid him, he might come into the picture. Yeah.
yeah. And there's one more all-rounder, Gerald Coetzee. So not like not a pure all-rounder again, one of those people who can just hold a bat and toink the ball. But he just debuted like in March this year, so he was fast-tracked into the team because he's a very good hit the deck kind of bowler, and now he'll be one of the primary bowlers now that Nokia is also out. So a backup bowler, he'll be the number three bowler in case they play three paces. In case two paces, then he becomes a backup. So a good find for them right at the end. He had a decent outing against Australia as well. So jumping to the last part about the bowlers. So this is where they have brought on their spinners, and a very similar combination to India, wherein they just have kept left armers. They don't have a right hand spinner, and that is because of lack of people, I think, rather than a decision. They don't have people only, so they play what they have. So Maharaj and Shamsi are the spin twins, finger spinner and Chinaman. So very good, right? I mean, I really like this combination of these two because one is a container and one is the wicket taker.
Yeah, similar to Jadeja and
Hmm.
Kuldeep, right? Obviously, Shamsi is not as in the same league as Kuldeep, but again, he's also coming off a good series against Australia. There was a four-wicket haul in one of the matches as well, and I think he got close to five wickets in the other game as well. So he's coming in with good form. Maharaj, I really like, right? He's actually your traditional test left arm match spinner, right? The old school flight and drift and all these things. One days also he's doing well, right? He might not be an ideal T20 bowler, but in one days he can, on most days give you, let's say, 10 overs, 50 runs, one or two wickets, right? So he's a useful bowler to have, and he obviously has some batting skills as well, so he could be a useful eight
Number eight.
also. And that brings greater value because this time I think for the first time they're struggling with all-rounders, right? I mean, forget the era of Callis, Pollock,
99.
Klusner. I mean, that was a different era. They were legends. But even in the last World Cup, they had Chris Morris, they had Feflukwayo, and they had Pretorius as well. So there was still some class. So at least Maharaj's batting also gives him another dimension, I think. But they'll hope that Shamsi gets the wicket system, because what we've seen with Shamsi is he gets wickets in some matches, and in some matches he gets hit like crazy, right? Like, let's say 10 overs, 80 runs or something like that. We have seen him go big also. So they'll hope these two can, get the wickets so that, the reliance on the Pacers is at least reduced.
Yeah. And then three paces left. So Rabada is a spearhead, and like he's been around forever. He's still very young. I think maybe 25 maximum, 25, 26
Yeah, around that. Yeah,
around that. But he's been around since ages. So I think he came very early in the game, and
yeah,
we've been seeing him in IPL only since I think a decade. So maybe that's why I keep thinking how old this guy is. So he's
yeah.
fairly young and a very good record with 160 odd wickets, 28 average. So he's going to be the spearhead, and Gidi is the backup in the sense, yeah. Again, takes a lot of wickets, gets hit also at times, but injury prone. That's one of his concerns. So
That's
that's where I
amazing.
think Coetzee comes in at times when he's not fit. Lizard Williams is just drafted in right now in the squad because of the injuries to Nokia and Mangala. So, uh, not much to go by. Just matches he's played, and he also got like debut last year only. So he's been part of the B or C teams when they want to rest players. So I don't expect to see him much, but a fast bowler and maybe one of those surprise packages they might use when if an injury happens. Because ultimately the World Cup is a long event with 9 matches minimum, and India is not an easy place for foreign countries. So I would expect some rotations to happen, and we might see one of these guys against the minnow teams if they are in that position to play. So yeah, all in all a balanced thing. We can now jump to the playing 11. How this pans out. So openers, like we discussed, Bavuma and Decock will be starting with the way they change their roles. Coming to the middle order of 3, 4, 5. So RVD and Markram and Miller slash Klassen, and six will be Miller slash Klassen. Now that again depends on the left right combination they want to play around.
Correct. And the match situation. Yeah.
Yes. So I think that's as good as it gets in terms of everybody has a higher gear to play. And Markram is a proper batsman, like a test player. So really, he's the future of South Africa. They made him captain and everything. Unfortunately, Sunrisers made him captain also, and that didn't help him. So that always is a risk. So I really think he's the next big thing for them, considering his age and his skill set. Very good polished player and and has gears, right?
Correct.
Can be a test player, can be a T20 player, and then bowling is very innocuous. People,
Hmm.
it's one of those irritating bowling which will get
Yeah.
wickets in India.
Yeah. Don't be
So
surprised if he chips in with good spells this time. I am really backing him to get some key wickets this
yeah,
time.
and the way they used him in the Australia series, if you notice, against Warner, they used to give him the new ball. So very high likelihood against like left order, left top order batsman, he will be launched against the foreign players at least. So yes, he's a multifaceted player, good fielder obviously. So all that is there. So six is your core. Now at number seven, so you think Jansen will make it only?
Yeah, as of now, I think if you follow the trends you
Hmm.
saw in the Australia series, Janssen played consistently at seven, right? So he will be there for sure. He's a decent bat and very good with the new ball up front as well. Brings in that left arm angle also. Now the interesting thing is, will they consistently play both spinners in the matches, right? So
Hmm.
considering its Indian conditions, I see both of them starting, right? Maharaj and Shamsi. So that will be two spinners. And ideally, both Rabada and Ngidi should start, right? But
Okay.
considering Ngidi, we all know he will not be able to play all nine league games. Very injury prone. Sometimes I've seen him play 2, 3 games and get injured for a long time. So I think they look to preserve him,
Balance.
and that's where Kotse will come in. Now the interesting part will be if there are games where they have to play only one spinner, right?
Hmm.
Let's say it's a batting beauty and they don't anticipate much turn, then who will be the preferred option? I would go with Maharaj because on such pitches he will offer control. I have never seen Maharaj get hit out of the park, whereas with Shamsi, he can get hit. I think there is some trauma from the RCB days also for me, where I've seen this guy get hit, right? So my pick would be Maharaj. I know he may not run through a side, get 4, 5 wickets, but at least it will be 10 overs, 50 runs, 2 wickets on a good day.
Hmm.
But your pick, if there was a game where they had to go with just one spinner?
So one thing which obviously favors Maharaj is the batting element, because at number eight you will again need somebody who can hold the bat and give you some singles, doubles, right? So Maharaj is that player. Shamsi is not that player. So Maharaj automatically with seniority and the batting skill set should get the preference. Personally, it again, if you're saying it's a flat batting track, right, and people are going to hit you out of the park, then I think the logic becomes you play the Chinaman who's going to provide a bit of mystery. Yes, he will get hit, but he'll toss the ball and hopefully get a wicket. Because in those pitches, as we are seeing, once the batting gets going on Indian pitches, people can't be stopped. So no matter how
Hmm.
good you are, I mean, 350, 400 will be a norm in those very
Hmm.
flat batting conditions if the ball is not stopping and holding and all. So I'm thinking they'll go with Shamsi if they are looking at the attacking option. But if the option is to play a bit safer, like have a player at 8 who can bat and who will control the runs fairly well, then you go with Maharaj. But they will. I don't think they'll drop both unless it really breaks. I mean, the
Hmm.
combination, right? Because I think that's a combination they're using this combination against Australia in South Africa. So I
Correct.
think it's
They
very
played
clear.
all five ODIs, in fact. Yeah.
Yeah, and they rotated everybody else. So it's very clear that in their mind, this is going to be the combination they use. And obviously, it's a World Cup. If they start losing the matches and then qualification becomes a problem, then they'll start tweaking around because teams go crazy that time. So then this will happen. What you were saying, right? One spinner,
Correct.
but I think they'll stick to the two spinner combination for as long as they can. I think they brought the backups only in bowling. Now that I noticed, right? They have backup in all-rounder. They have Lizard Williams. They have Coatsay. So batting wise, they were very secure. I think they have put some combinations to play around with the rest of the squad. So that's why I'm saying it's one of the good balanced squads.
If we position ourselves right now, a week away from the World Cup, where do we see this team ending, right? You can't help
Mm,
but think their matches against New Zealand and their matches against Pakistan. These two are must win matches for them if they have to make it to the
mm.
semis, right?
So yeah, so top four as you keep saying, right? So England, Australia, India, something everybody expects to be. That's
Correct.
a four. Then the fourth slot remains between South Africa, New Zealand, Pakistan. So they, as you mentioned, these two matches become very important. Let's not forget Sri Lanka also, because it's
Hmm.
Asian conditions and
Yeah.
their spinners. I know Hasaranga is out, but then they found us Vera Lege. So
Yeah. Plus
I think
Tikshana is there,
Dixon
so
is obviously
yeah,
there. So
yeah, yeah.
one misty spinner, one left arm spinner who can bat. So they are also fairly well equipped. So it's going to be interesting. That fourth slot should have a lot of competition and net run rates and all that stuff. So again, Duckworth Lewis, run rates, all this will come back to for South Africa again, which they need
Yeah.
to be very clear about. So I see. Actually see a top four finish for them this time
Hmm.
because of the lack of pressure and sneaking in through. Because New Zealand is a bit weakened with Kane and Pakistan. We'll discuss in our preview. Pakistan has a lot of issues, and again, but they can obviously it's Pakistan. They can come back. So that way, probability wise, I'll still give them a higher probability out of these two. How about
Hmm.
you? You see them coming in the top four?
The way they played in this Australia series has given me confidence, right?
Mm,
Because as you said, they were 2-0 down, and the manner in which they came back, they were not like 15, 20 runs wins, huge wins, right? And they
mm,
seem to have got the combination right. My only concern with them is their this time, traditionally, whenever you remember South Africa, both their departments are very equally balanced, right? This
yes,
time, I see the batting is much
very strong.
stronger than the bowling. So if they I mean, their bowling has to come to the fore, otherwise they might struggle. But if you ask me today, I think yeah, they will make a strong push for the fourth spot. I think yeah,
Okay. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it in terms of
yeah.
what all we can cover. I think this team will surprise a few. I
Mm.
will predict that for sure. But they will get surprised also. I have a feeling. So I don't know where they're playing against Afghanistan. I think Afghanistan is one of those teams that's going to have a lot of fun in this tournament because
Yeah,
they will make teams struggle with their four spinners. So yeah, let's see where
yeah.
they land up.
Yeah, let's see. So we'll see if 2023 will be the lucky year for South Africa, where they finally banish all the previous misfortunes that they've had. So, folks, that was our discussion on South Africa. A lot of interesting points that came up. Let's see if they can make it big this time. On that note, we have completed the preview for three teams. We'll be covering a few more teams before the World Cup starts. So please do watch all our videos. Do like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your views and your thoughts mean a lot to us. And we see you next time with our next preview shortly. Till then, take care and stay safe. Bye bye.
Thank you.